Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Debbie Meyer, and I'm a volunteer with NAMI Maryland. And I just want to say a little bit about what this workshop is about. This is a speaker, Melanie Countee. I should have checked with that, from the Prince George's County Mental Health Court. Okay, you can read about her amazing bio that's on our website for her. Now, mental health courts emerged in response to the increase in the number of individuals with mental illness involved in the criminal justice system. By relying on individualized treatment plans and ongoing judicial monitoring, mental health court addresses the underlying problems that contribute to criminal behavior, assists with the avoidance of reoccurring correctional visits, and lowers the recidivism of this population with increases to public safety within the community. We're going to allow Melanie to speak, and then we are going to have Judge, right, is that correct? Patrice Lewis also have some closing comments to make at the end, and then we'll open up for questions. So at this point, I'd like to welcome Melanie. Thank you so much for enlightening us on the mental health course, because I know there are some counties that would like to see it in theirs as well. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, thank you. And there is a PowerPoint. Do I share my screen with that or?
Yes.
Okay. So hello, everyone. My name is Melanie Countee. I'm the Problem Solving Courts Coordinator for Prince George's County District Court, Mental Health Court, and Adult Drug Court. And I also have the Honorable Patrice E. Lewis with us today. She is our coordinating judge for our problem solving. Right. I want to make sure everyone can see it.
There you go. Yep.
There we go. You think after all of this time with Zoom, we would know just how to do it. Perfect.
Oh, I know. I have to talk myself through it.
Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and oop. There we go. So I have been listening to the conference this morning, and I'm loving that there's this criminal justice track, and we're kind of hearing the same things, that behavioral health concerns among today's justice-involved population is pervasive. Studies are showing that anywhere between 20 and 60% of individuals involved in the criminal justice system have a mental health diagnosis. And on average, the general population has between 20 and 30%. Studies are also showing that almost 50% of detainees in local jails were found to have both the mental health diagnosis and a substance dependency. And going back to the 20 to 60%, that varies based on if you're looking at from a local level, state level, or federal level. And as we are shifting more to a trauma-informed care, we're understanding that those with certain behavioral health concerns, they are more likely to be arrested, incarcerated, and engaged in the system. That's for various numbers of reasons, but it may happen when someone is arrested for behaviors or actions that are related to their untreated or even their treated mental illness. And they're cycling through the revolving door of the criminal justice system. It's costly from a financial perspective. It's costly as it does cost more to detain someone with mental health or substance use issues. I think studies say it's $130 versus $80, someone who doesn't have a mental health concern. But it's also costly from a social level. Families are split up. There's this disconnection from services, from mental health care and treatment, from their therapist, psychiatrist, nurse practitioner, suspension of benefits, depending on how long they're incarcerated. This can also include housing. And so how do we then transition from incarceration to treatment? And what came from that was this problem-solving court model, which is designed to divert individuals with behavioral health concerns away from incarceration and into treatment. And so when you look at the traditional court model, the goal is legal justice. There are individuals representing entities that want that legal justice. Whereas from a problem-solving approach, this is a team effort. And I'll talk about the many individuals that represent our team later in the presentation. But the goal is treatment. The goal is to restore the defendant as a productive and non-criminal member of society. We're non-adversarial. We have the goal of, again, restoring the individual, restoring them and ensuring that they are linked to treatment. We work cooperatively with state's attorneys, the Department of Corrections, our local law enforcement, treatment providers. Whereas the traditional court is adversarial. There's this opposite sides, there's this win and lose balance. The court will play a very integral role in monitoring the defendant's progress in treatment. We have our participants come to court in the beginning every 2 to 3 weeks just to see how are they doing. They're getting to know us, we're getting to know them. We want to ensure that all of their services are in place. How are they doing with their therapists, their psychiatrists, their nurse practitioner, and so forth and so forth. We also want to know just how are they doing in general? Is there anything that we should be celebrating? Going to school, reunification with families, births, birthdays, all of that. And so it's not only just about their mental health care and treatment, it's about the person as a whole. And then also there are graduated sanctions if someone is non-compliant. Versus in your traditional court, if you relapse, you commit a new crime, you're incarcerated, there's this enhanced sentence. And no, for us, we may start with, we're going to increase how many times you come see us in a month. We're going to increase your drug testing, community service, writing a letter, going to treatment more often. Our goal is not incarceration. Our goal really is to ensure that the individual is getting the treatment that they need. And so while this presentation is only about Prince George's County District Court, mental health, and adult drug court, I did want to share that within the 24 jurisdictions in Maryland, 22 have problem-solving courts. So that is on the district court and the circuit court level. There's mental health court, drug court, DUI court, truancy court, reentry, veterans court, back on track, and so forth. And if you Google Maryland problem-solving courts, if you're not here from Prince George's County, but you're from another jurisdiction, you can Google Maryland problem-solving courts. It'll give you this infographic, and you can also see a coordinator's directory, meaning you'll be able to reach out to them to get more information, brochures, referrals, and so forth and so forth. And so let's jump into our mental health court program. Again, the goal and mission is to integrate treatment into the resolution of our criminal cases. We want to address the needs of individuals with mental health concerns in the criminal justice system. Again, there's this traditional non-adversarial court process. We want to reduce the inappropriate incarcerations of individuals with mental illness, promote safety and well-being of individuals, family members in our community, slow that revolving door of recidivism, decrease the length and frequency of hospitalizations, and again, provide for public safety and increase public awareness. This is a community-based effort. Again, we are relying on the detention center, our public safety, our community providers, the health department, the judges in the different jurisdictions, family members, NAMI, and with our treatment and our team effort, we are able to achieve this goal and mission. So some quick facts. Our mental health court was started in September 2007. Judge Lewis was very integral in starting the program. So about 14 years, we've been up and running. It is primarily pre-adjudication, meaning before an individual is found guilty, they come into our program. Some individuals for mental health court, it is a part of their plea or their probation to complete mental health court program, and we also conduct trials. So what happens is someone may say, hey, I don't necessarily want to be in mental health court. So we'll send them back to the regular docket, but we'll conduct their trial in our program, in our court, because our team is very knowledgeable about mental health concerns. And so if they go before another judge or another courtroom and they're not so familiar, things may turn out differently. And so we definitely will conduct a trial in our mental health court program. We have 4 judges. Judge Patrice Lewis is on the call today, Judge Aarons, Judge Heffron, and Judge Wagner Stewart. Our court hearings are held every Tuesday and Thursday, 10:30 a.m. and 2 p.m. at our Upper Marlboro Courthouse. Due to COVID, hearings have been held virtually, and it's working out great. Our participants were noticing that there are less failure to appear rates, and because the courthouse and the criminal justice system can sometimes be triggering and trauma-inducing, Zoom makes it a little less scary for some of our participants. Pre-docket staff meetings are held at 9 a.m. every Tuesday and Thursday. And Judge Lewis had presented a few weeks ago, and she made the great analogy. It's like doing rounds in a hospital. What we're doing is we're talking about all of our defendants on the docket today, getting updates. How are they doing in treatment? Is there anything that we need to be concerned about? And we kind of problem solve and troubleshoot in those docket meetings. Our morning docket, our 10:30 docket, is primarily the individuals who are detained in our correctional facility or that may be at the hospital. And then in the afternoon, those are our defendants who are primarily released in the community. Our program capacity is 200. And when I did this presentation, there were 128 participants, and now we have 140. So things fluctuate in our Tuesday and Thursday dockets. We've been getting a good amount of referrals, which is good for the program. Here's some general eligibility. Now, again, this may vary by jurisdiction. So for Prince George's County, at least they have to be 18 years or older, charged with a crime within the jurisdiction of district court. I will get family members and individuals who want to refer their loved one to the program, and the case is not in district court, it may be in circuit court. And at that point, there's nothing that I can do. It has to be in district court. Circuit court has their own problem-solving courts. Our Prince George's County Circuit Court at this time doesn't have a mental health court, but there are other problem-solving courts. Diagnosed with a mental illness, this could be ADHD, depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, developmental disability, we work hand-in-hand with DDA, and a trauma-related disorder, a traumatic brain injury, PTSD, and so forth. Mental health court is a voluntary program. Again, we'll get family members who say, hey, I want my loved one in the program. And they have to say, okay, yes, I want to be in the program and willing and able to participate in treatment services. If the referral comes in and they don't want to, that's fine. We're more than welcome to send it back to the docket. But again, they have to be a voluntary participant. Admission may be denied if the defendant has a detainer, a sentencing hearing, or a warrant in a different jurisdiction. I'm going to be honest, a lot of times we try to work that out. We've had individuals have detainers or warrants in other jurisdictions. We will release them to go resolve what is there, and they come back. And let's say we can't. Let's say, no, you may have to go and truly resolve all of that. We're always welcome to be re-referred back to mental health court. They're charged with a violent or other ineligible crime and a history of violent behavior as determined by a state's attorney's office. We have a dedicated state's attorney who still has to protect the interests of the state. And so it's a team effort whether we allow someone to be accepted into mental health court. And so our state's attorney, Ms. Mary Grace Waldron, she'll let us know, she'll say yes or no, and we'll go from there. Another disqualifier, if they have a mental health or medical issue that would prevent them from fully participating in the program. Sometimes we see competency concerns, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when I go through the flow chart of how individual progresses through our program. But if there's something that's going to prevent them, we don't want them to fail. And so if we feel that there may be something there, we will say, not at this time. So our mental health support program has 4 amazing case managers who maintain contact with our participants. Defendants are required to check in weekly with their case managers, and that's actually talk to them on the phone, not leave a voicemail, not text. No, we want to hear your voice. Again, we want to hear that you're okay, that you're doing okay. We want you to be able to talk to your case manager. They're here to advocate for you. The case managers coordinate with treatment and service providers, talking to the therapists, talking to the medical providers, if they have probation and parole, community support workers, their family members, and they provide status reports to the court, letting us know how the defendant is progressing. We have an amazing, amazing, amazing panel attorney from the Office of Public Defender, Ms. Jonna Bogan. If I think about someone who is super compassionate, who is trauma-informed, and who loves what she does, it is Ms. Bogan, hands down. It's great for the defendants who, they know that they can go and speak to Ms. Bogan. They have an amazing rapport with her. We also have defendants who have private counsel, which is perfectly fine, but we do have a dedicated attorney from the Office of Public Defender. Again, a dedicated state's attorney's office, state's attorney from the state's attorney's office, Ms. Mary Grace Waldron. And again, this is good because they're seeing familiar faces. They're building rapport. They know that at the end of the day, we have their best interest at heart. From community supervision, there's a dedicated probation agent who coordinates parole and probation, not only within Prince George's County, but if they're in a different jurisdiction, her name is Agent Harden, she will coordinate back and forth with the different parole and probation agents. If there's things that they need to be doing, let's say in the District of Columbia, we also are reinforcing, hey, are you checking in with your community supervision in other jurisdictions? Make sure you do that. And we also have a dedicated pretrial release services case manager through our Department of Corrections who keeps the court informed of check-ins. They'll verify addresses and any other pretrial release conditions they'll ensure compliance with. Drug and alcohol testing is also a part of our program. It varies depending on the client's needs, but generally they test 2 times per week. As an incentive is as you continue to show consecutive clean tests, we'll reduce that down to 1 time a week, every other week, and then once when you're coming to court. We understand that substance use may interfere with the medication, psychotropic medication. So we want to ensure that every participant knows that alcohol and drugs are not permitted in our program. And then we have our treatment service providers, behavioral health therapists, psychiatrists, substance use agencies, health department, primary care physicians, vocational employment, education. Because again, we're not only treating the mental health or the substance use concern, we are treating the whole person. And so what do they need? And we ensure our case managers are a wealth of knowledge and it will send referrals and refer our clients anywhere that they necessarily need. And so here's a quick flow chart of how an individual comes to mental health court. And it starts with the referral. And I'll show the referral form here. It is the defendant's name, date of birth, their case number, where they're located. Are they in the detention center? Are they in the community? Are they at the hospital? Are they at a treatment provider or treatment placement? Who is referring? We get referrals from family members, community providers, the jail, the judges, law enforcement, anyone necessarily can make a referral and why they're referring the person to the program. If we know, or the person making the referral knows they have a diagnosis, they're on medication, where they're in treatment, we ask for that information along with any additional information that will help us with screening and assessing the case. We've gotten letters of support, family members, law enforcement, treatment providers, just letting us know a little bit more about the person. Because when we get a file, we have the referral form, we have the statement of charges, that's it. And it's great to hear when loved ones are supporting, when we're getting the additional background information. And so at the end of the presentation will be my contact information. And so if anyone would like a referral form or any of the brochures, you're more than welcome to email me. And go back to the flow chart. So as I stated, we have the referral form coming from a variety of sources. We get the referral when we place on the next mental health court docket, which again is on those Tuesdays or Thursdays. The defendant will come in for an initial mental health court hearing. We want to assess for competency. If the judge or the attorneys believe that there is concerns of competency, we have a dedicated psychologist from the Department of Health to come and do a competency evaluation. It's done now via DoxyMe, so video conferencing. It can be done if the defendant is in the community or if they're in the detention center. If the doctor opines that an individual is incompetent, we will then commit that defendant to the state hospital for competency restoration. We are still monitoring that client. While necessarily they're not in mental health court, they haven't signed an agreement, we still want to know how are things going. And so my role is to stay in contact with the hospital every so often, checking on their progress. And we set court dates every 90 days to see how things go. If a defendant is found competent, then we look at eligibility. Are you eligible? And then are you willing to participate? Again, this is voluntary piece. They have to want to be in the program. And if they do, they're admitted into mental health court and assigned one of those 4 case managers. They sign a participant agreement. This agreement goes over the rules and regulations of the program. We give them a handbook so they can know what is accepted of them, or what is expected of them, excuse me. And then a release of information so that we can speak with their treatment providers, family members, lawyers, or whomever else. If they're incarcerated, they're released through our pretrial services department with the detention center after we verify an address. We want to know that you have a place to go. Homelessness is not an impediment, but it does present challenges. As we know, and you look at Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you have the basic needs that need to be met: food, clothing, and shelter. And so we want to ensure that you have a place to go that is safe. And of course, if you are asking for a referral and you live in the College Park area, we're not going to want to refer you all the way to Oxon Hill. So we want to know where you're going. If there is some housing concerns, we work with our Department of Health for RRP, so residential placements. We can do a referral to Salvation Army, or recently A505, A507s for substance use concerns to Gaudenzio or Jew House or so forth. So again, homelessness is not an impediment, but it does present some challenges. At that point, we are monitoring the client's progress and making referrals to services as needed. Not only mental health, housing, food, disability services, any other community support worker, whatever the defendant at the time needs. They're reporting for status hearings. In the beginning, every 2 to 3 weeks, so we can get to know you and you can get to know us. And as time progresses, it's every 3 to 4, every 5 to 6, 7 to 8, and so forth and so forth. And drug testing if applicable. Continuing to monitor the client's progress and confirming that they are complying with all conditions of release, including stay away orders, no contact requirements, if there was a curfew, and so forth and so forth. I didn't do a slide about sanctions and incentives, but in this time, if a defendant is doing well, we are giving them incentives, not coming to court as often. If there was a curfew, taking away that curfew. If an individual tests positive for a substance, we're not saying automatically, hey, you're going back to jail. We are then giving sanctions, increased testing, increased meeting with treatment providers. And then last resort, we may have to reset, they're reincarcerated and we may have to start again. Then we get to, you completed the program. On average, our participants are in the program 584 days. So about a little over a year and a half, and a successful completion. You've completed all of your treatment goals and core obligations. And then the defendant is granted a STET with continued mental health care and treatment, of course, continuing to take your medication as prescribed. You are done with mental health court, but as Judge Lewis says, you still have to continue with your mental health care and treatment. Yes, that was a part of the program, but we do want to ensure that this is a lifelong commitment for you. An individual may be terminated from the program. This is if we've tried, they haven't been compliant necessarily with treatment or care, or they're continuously rearrested on new charges, and they may be terminated. And then general or administrative complete discharge is if an individual willingly says they don't want to be in a program, they have some legal issues in another jurisdiction that are going to prevent them. And also we have had some individuals pass away while in the program. And so again, that is the referral form. And so now I'm going to shift into the adult drug court. If you have any questions about mental health court, I do understand that you could put it in a chat and we'll come back to those at the end. Now, while our adult drug court is also under our problem solving court, it runs a little differently, but there are still the same goals of intervention and treatment for substance dependent offenders within the county. Goals: reduce criminal justice costs, reduce recidivism, support recovery, improve the quality of life, enhance public safety, and reduce the rate of untreated substance use disorders. We also started, and I'll talk a little bit about this, a DUI track within our drug court. So we also want to reduce any driving accidents or traffic accidents related to alcohol and substance. So our drug court program has been around since 2006. We have two presiding judges, Judge Carrington and Judge Aarons. Our program capacity for the program is 50, and we have actually 21 participants. We had a new person sign on Tuesday. Our court hearings are held every Tuesday at 2 p.m., again, in Upper Marlboro Courthouse, but because of COVID, they're held virtually. And we have the pre-docket staffing meetings at 12:30 to discuss all of our defendants on the docket, get status updates from the case manager or parole, and just ensuring that they're progressing through the program. Majority of our participants in drug court our referrals come from the community, but if we do have someone that's incarcerated and would like to be referred to drug court, we will still see them at 2 p.m. We'll coordinate with the jail to have the defendant come online. General eligibility, again, varies by jurisdiction. So this is for Prince George's County, at least 18 years of age, a crime within district court, an identifiable substance use disorder verified through an assessment with the health department, or if they are already in treatment within the community, we will definitely utilize that to ensure that they have a substance use disorder. Again, voluntary participant in the program. Admission may be denied. Same as mental health court. If there's a detainer, a warrant, the state's attorney says no, or there's a medical issue or mental health issue that would prevent them from full participation in the program. We have had individuals that may have started out in mental health court, and as we work with the program and we've done assessments, we may understand that this is more of a substance use concern. We will then do a referral to drug court, and it would be the same process. We'll go through the qualifiers. And the same with drug court. We've had individuals who we may believe it's a substance use concern, but mental health is the primary diagnosis, and we will do the referral to mental health court. So in drug court, we have two case managers who maintain contact with the clients, do check-ins, coordinate treatment, and provide status reports. Our case managers are awesome on both programs, and they definitely have an amazing rapport with our participants. They will call our participants will call the case managers. They're very honest with them, let them know what's going on. And I believe that is very beneficial for our program. We also have a dedicated public defender in drug court, as well as a dedicated state's attorney. For alcohol and drug testing, participants are required to drug test 2 times per week throughout the entirety of the program. There is no graduated reduction in drug testing. We have a DUI track. We recently kind of rolled that out at the beginning of the year as a response to an increase of alcohol use offenders within the county. And we want to enhance public safety by reducing the number of traffic accidents, injuries, and deaths related to DUI offenses. We've recently started that program, as I stated, probably about February, and we have 6 participants in our DUI track within our drug court. We also have a dedicated parole and probation agent, and we also utilize pretrial release services through our detention center. Same treatment service providers for behavioral health, substance use, PRP programs, vocational education, and so forth. And one difference between drug court and mental health court is that there are phases. So drug court utilizes a 3-phase system, which allows the participants the opportunity to kind of earn their way from one phase to the next. And each phase becomes a little less structured. So in phase 1, we kind of consider this the stabilization phase, in that we are, again, getting you comfortable with us, we're getting comfortable with you. And this is the phase 1 is about 30 to 60 days. Still testing twice a week, and in counseling at least twice a week. This may be the IOP, this may be therapy, it may be 12-step meetings, NA, AA, residential treatment, and or as determined by your clinical recommendation. Maintaining your contact with the case manager at least 1 time per week. I will be honest, our drug court participants stay in contact with our case managers probably more than once a week, probably closer to 2 to 3 times a week, just checking in. They are coming to court weekly in the beginning. In order to move from phase 1 to phase 2, consecutive negative drug screenings, consistent treatment, no additional arrests, or charges for 30 days, and compliance with all phase guidelines these phase guidelines for at least 2 weeks. Again, if someone isn't necessarily adjusting to the program as well, we'll keep them in phase 1, we'll keep them close. It does not mean that, hey, we're gonna just send you back to the regular docket or we're done with you. We really do have this, how I view it as a loving relationship, in that we will hold you close. As the churches will say, we will lay hands. And so again, we are not just tossing anyone to the wayside if they're having a little difficulty in phase 1. As we move into phase 2, this is just you're continuing to do well in the program, and we are now looking at what are your other goals outside of sobriety. The average length in this phase is 90 days, so about 3 months. Still drug testing twice a week, still in substance use counseling, still maintaining contact with your case managers, but this time we're seeing you every two weeks. In order to advance, we want to continue to see those negative drug screenings, progressing in treatment, and progress on the other issues identified in that treatment plan. Do you have goals, educational and vocational goals, family responsibilities, medical concerns? What other goals do you have that we can also assist you with? Seeking employment, and in any positive use of leisure time. Are you working? Are you back in school? Are you volunteering? We want to see this productive member of society. And then we get to phase 3. About 6 months, still drug testing twice a week, going to counseling. We still want you to be, if you have a sponsor, meeting with your sponsor, going to NA, AA, therapy, whatever is recommended by your clinician, meeting and talking with your case manager at least one time a week. And then at this time, we are seeing them monthly. Sometimes every 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes monthly. Again, it depends on how the participant is phasing through the program. And in order to phase through phase 3, which is graduation, you've met your case plan goals. You're continuing to maintain your sobriety. There's this stable living environment. You're in school, you're working, you're training, whatever that may look like, payment of if there are any court costs or court fees. And then there's the graduation. So I'll go through the flow chart. Referral is the same. It looks pretty much the same as the mental health court referral form. It's placed on the next docket, which is a Tuesday. Eligibility, willingness to participate in pleading into the program. Typically in drug court, we do not see competency concerns, but if we do, it'll be the same as in mental health court. We'll do a competency evaluation. If an individual agrees to come into drug court, they are assigned a drug court case manager, signs that agreement, letting them know what is required of them. They get the handbook, the case manager goes through it with them, the attorney goes through it with them, release of information, and then we have a relationship with our health department to do an assessment. And the assessor will say they need inpatient, they need outpatient, they need more intensive services, less intensive services. And we rely on the clinician, her name is Ms. Curtis, to let us know what is needed. And we make those referrals to whatever services are in that referral, or in that assessment. The client is reporting for status hearings as discussed in the phase outline. So either once a week, bi-weekly, or once a month, continuing to drug test twice a week and advancing through the phases. In drug court, we hold a graduation after they have successfully completed the phases. We just had a graduation a week ago. Last week, we graduated 8 of our drug court participants. They were able to share, give speeches about their progress and their goals. And it is a time for the community to come through. We had family members there for support. We had law enforcement. We also had court personnel. Some of the Maryland legislative came through just to see the progress that is being made. We also had a speaker who was a previous substance use user who is now a clinician from Milwaukee. That's the beautiful thing about being virtual. He was able to come through and share his story and offer our participants some motivating words, which was great for them to hear that there is life after this. The successful completion, consistent negative drug tests and screening, gainful employment, productive activities. An individual may be terminated from drug court if they are continuing to test clean for, not test clean, if they're continuing to test positive for any substances, if they are getting new charges, if they're not compliant. But we really want to work with our participants, even when they are giving up on themselves. We as a team in both mental health court and drug court, we are there to motivate, we are there to inspire, and we really want this integration of treatment. But I will always say, we cannot work harder than the participant. And if they do decide, this is not for me, that is fine. They also go back to the regular docket. And some people do discharge just because they have other jurisdictional issues that interfere with the program and in other issues and concerns. And again, this is the referral form for the drug court: name, date of birth, where are they, reasons for referrals, if there's a history of substance use, any mental health diagnoses, and if there's any additional information that's beneficial for the team to make a decision whether the individual should come into our program. And this is my contact information. I am more than welcome to accept any phone calls. My email address is there. It's my last name, period, my first name, period, last name at mdcourts.gov. As I stated earlier, if you're not in Prince George's County and you're in a different jurisdiction and you want to know, hey, I love this problem-solving court model, I want to see what's in my jurisdiction, you are able to go to Maryland Judiciary website. You can see each court's coordinator, and you'll be able to reach out to them. At this time, I wanted to turn it over to Judge Lewis, who will give a few remarks.
Thank you, Melanie.
There you go. I have to turn my microphone on, right?
Right, there we go.
Oh, no matter how long you do it, there's always little holes.
Can you close your screen, Melanie?
Oh, yes, I can. Sorry. There we go.
Right over there. Now we can see.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Good afternoon. My name is Judge Lewis, Patrice Lewis, and I'm the coordinating judge for our mental health court in Prince George's County. I've been serving in that capacity since September of 2007, when we officially opened. As has been explained, there are now 5 mental health courts in the state of Maryland and your district courts: Baltimore City, Harford County, Prince George's County, Montgomery County, and Frederick. I will say Baltimore City and Montgomery County also have them in their circuit courts. I had asked to take just a few minutes of your time to say thank you. I don't think there is a day I'm on the bench in mental health court that I don't recommend to someone, either a consumer, a family member, or possibly just a neighbor or a merchant, to take your brochure and consider contacting NAMI. Some of the attorneys have found the information very helpful in assisting their clients and their families, and have even gotten involved in the local chapters. NAMI is possibly my most likely referral. When I serve as an instructor for the judiciary, whether it be judges, commissioners, attorneys, or just community groups, I make the referral. And I've always recommend they send for your brochures. So please print plenty of them, so they too can share that information, that there is a community-based organization that can help. Finally, when someone comes to court for the very first time seeking an emergency psychiatric evaluation, after completing the hearing, I often suggest they take your brochure and consider contacting the local chapter for support and a frank conversation of what is available and how it works. Because let's face it, for those of us who know the system, we also know of its shortcomings, and that there are likely to be disappointments and needs that cannot be met, or at least not met at the speed and at the time when they particularly want it. And with all the supports that they want to have in place, they might not be able to happen right away. And when someone is afraid, unknowing, having a helping hand, even if all you can say is that you're not alone, it can make the impossible circumstance just a little bit more bearable. So I just wanted to take a minute to underscore that mental health court only addresses those with a mental health diagnosis who are in the criminal justice system. The defendant can only be in mental health court if they choose. It is a voluntary program. Also, the state's attorney has the right, due to the nature of the charges and or the seriousness of the offender's record, to object to a particular defendant being in mental health court. So indeed, there are families that desperately want us to take a defendant. Even defendants who have pled with us to say, oh, just give me one more chance. Just take this one more case. And sometimes we cannot. But I want you to know it's not because we're unwilling, but rather it's because we are unable. And for that, I ask for your understanding. Finally, I just wanted to assure you that we do this work because we believe in it. We do this work because we believe that no one wants to be unhealthy. We do this work because we believe that with supportive services, encouragement, and proper help and direction, more of our neighbors, friends, and family members can be healthy, productive members of our community. So on behalf of Prince George's County, I have attended more meetings, requested, arguably demanded, for more services for our underserved community. Your mental health court continues to quantify the need for more hospital beds, residential placements, day programs, and quality services to meet the needs that we witness daily. We continue to coordinate with the county and with your state government to do more. We're all in this together. I truly want to thank NAMI on behalf of all of the families, friends, and community members that you have helped and assisted. You're a blessing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's
Judge.
all I have.
Okay. I have a couple of questions. Most of them were answered by Melanie, so that was quite, thank you very much for being so thorough in your presentation.
Thank you.
Knowing that relapse is part of recovery in addiction and also in mental health, how do you fit that into your programs?
We let them know that you may not succeed all the way the first time. And that's why it's so important for us to be a community-based program, because we're loving on them. It's okay. I can speak. We have had individuals who are in our drug court program who have relapsed and have been in drug court for about 3 years.
Okay.
Yes. And we are still trying with that, with 2 individuals. I know we are still trying. We are finding treatment providers and placements. Let's say someone is in Baltimore, and we know that Baltimore is not the place for them. This is the area that they know. We need to get them out. We're saying, okay, we're going to send you to Charles County. We're going to send you to Calvert County because we need a new environment. And so we are continuously working. We are not giving up on any of our participants.
Which is why you're connected to a lot of the counties then.
Yes.
Whether they have a mental health court or not.
Yes, yes. We will send participants or make referrals, anywhere in Maryland if an individual needs it. That's where they are.
Right. People, places, or things.
Yes.
Especially in drug court has to change. I guess I've never heard it referred to as problem-solving courts, which I love that, because either one of them does present its own set of problems.
Mm-hmm.
And every person then also has its own set of problems to deal with. So the fact that it's a problem-solving court and not so specifically, drug court and so you say that there is problem-solving courts in all the jurisdictions in Maryland?
22 of the 24.
Which is just amazing to me, that to have that. So if I were to contact another county, is that what I would ask for? To speak to someone in their problem-solving court?
Yes.
That's the term.
Yes. Yep. Problem-solving court. You'll reach out to the coordinator. I'm the problem-solving coordinator for Prince George's County District Court. You'll find the problem-solving court coordinator for Harford County, and they will let you know what programs are available, brochures, and I've referred to Circuit Court, Montgomery County, wherever else there may be a program.
So it's not just the clients that you serve in PG County, but you're also handling calls from all over.
Yes, ma'am.
To support that. You're very busy.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
And I-
we are.
Yeah. And I
We
wanted to
agree,
add,
we agree.
yeah, and I wanted to add something that you said, Judge Lewis, about what NAMI offers as well. Frequently in our classes, we have people who have had an addiction in addition to a mental health condition, and they share that. And and in our classes, we do talk about that as part of as a section in our weekly classes. So thank you for mentioning that, because that is
Right.
what we include in our education classes.
Sometimes when people present with a mental health issue, some of their problem solving has developed in a co-occurring problem
Yes.
of self-medicating through either alcohol, drugs, or both.
Right.
So those things many, many years ago were more siloed, but now it is recognized that it's more co-occurring. And that's what Melanie was trying to say. We try to, when we're making the sort between drug court or mental health court, we try to figure out what predominates, because sometimes drug use can bring on mental health problems,
Right.
but it's really a drug-induced problem.
Or is it a
as opposed
self-medication
to,
problem?
yes. So we try to discern between that, but mental health court operates differently than the substance abuse programs, because we recognize each of our defendants are snowflakes. They're all unique.
Yeah, right. But I would, so to let people know that we have people who have both and come into our education classes. So
Yes.
yes, I don't want people to be afraid or to think that they're the only ones, because they're not. They are not
Right.
alone in that factor at all, too. I want to thank you both for such a Melanie, for such a thorough presentation. I so
you.
appreciate that. Because I had other questions like how long are the programs usually, but you've got that. Is there a choice? You answer that, so you're very, very thorough. And Judge Lewis, thank you very much for adding your piece to this as a judge, because ultimately that's what they see. Who make the decisions, and you kind of gave a face to this.
Well, I
As
thank
well.
you all for all that you do.
You're very welcome, and I wish you all the best in all that you do, and thank you for
Thank
our
you.
partnerships that NAMI have with you.
Wonderful.
Thanks again.
Thank
All
you.
right.
You're welcome.
Good day.
Bye.